All right, so get this. We're diving into AI and national security today. And, it's straight out of a sci-fi thriller, really.
Yeah.
You sent over some fascinating research on this, including a strategy report co-authored by Eric Schmidt.
Yeah, the former Google CEO.
Great, exactly.
Yeah. It's a fascinating deep dive for sure. And, one of the things that's so striking about this report is how it really kind of elevates AI to the level of nuclear weapons.
Oh, wow.
In terms of its impact on global power.
I see.
And we're not just talking about, some kind of futuristic scenario here.
Yeah.
This is about understanding the very real threats and opportunities that AI presents to nations like right now.
Okay, so it's not just about robots taking over the world.
Whoa.
Although I have to admit, that is a pretty captivating image.
Yeah. I mean, that might be part of it, but the reality is probably even more nuanced and, dare I say, even more captivating.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So think about it like this. Nations are in a race to maximize their AI capabilities. Oh. It's a new kind of arms race. And whoever controls the most advanced AI has a significant edge economically, militarily, you name it.
So what's the driving force behind this AI arms race then?
It all boils down to something called AI chips.
AI chips?
Yeah, these chips are the brains of AI systems.
Okay.
And the report makes this really compelling comparison. It says that AI chips are the new uranium.
Wow.
Just like in the nuclear age, whoever controls the production and the distribution of these chips holds immense power.
So who controls the majority of these AI chips right now?
And that's where it gets really interesting. The report points out that Taiwan currently produces the lion's share of the world's most advanced AI chips.
Yeah.
Now imagine what happens if China, which has been increasingly assertive, about its claim over Taiwan, were to gain control of that production.
Right.
The West would find itself in a very precarious position, to say the least.
That is a chilling thought.
Yeah.
It seems like this report is painting a pretty stark picture of the potential dangers of AI.
It does, but it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay.
The report also lays out a framework for managing these risks and ensuring that AI is used responsibly in the context of national security.
I see.
And it really boils down to addressing three major threats: rival states, rogue actors, and the potential for AI systems themselves to slip out of control.
Okay, let's unpack these threats one by one.
Okay.
First up, rival states. What kind of scenarios are we talking about here?
Okay, well, imagine a nation developing an AI so powerful that it could manipulate global financial markets, just causing economic chaos.
Wow.
Or an AI that could launch devastating cyberattacks, crippling a country's critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of scenarios that keep national security experts up at night.
It sounds like we're on the brink of a new Cold War.
Yeah.
Only this time it's an AI Cold War.
Right. The report actually uses a term that captures that very idea, and it's Mutual Assured AI Malfunction, or MAIM.
MAIM.
Yeah, MAIM. It's a chillingly accurate description of a world where nations are so afraid of each other's AI capabilities that any aggressive move could trigger a catastrophic chain reaction.
MAIM. It's a catchy term, but the implications are terrifying.
It is.
So rival states are one threat.
Right.
What about rogue actors? What role does AI play in that equation?
So think about terrorist groups or criminal organizations getting their hands on AI technology. The report highlights a particularly chilling detail. An AI could guide a novice in creating a bioweapon.
Oh, wow.
Making a threat that was once limited to state actors far more accessible.
That's a truly terrifying prospect.
It is.
If AI can make it easier to create weapons of mass destruction, wouldn't that make the world a much more dangerous place?
It certainly raises the stakes,
Yeah.
but the report also suggests some concrete countermeasures like strict export controls on AI chips, similar to how we regulate nuclear materials.
Oh, no, okay.
The goal is to keep these powerful technologies out of the wrong hands.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Controlling access to the technology seems like a logical first step.
Right.
But what about the third threat? You mentioned the possibility of AI systems themselves becoming uncontrolled. Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction film.
It might sound far-fetched, but experts believe it's a very real possibility.
Really?
So imagine an AI system that's designed for self-preservation.
Okay.
Now imagine that AI gaining access to robotics systems or critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
The potential for chaos and destruction is immense.
Okay, now I'm officially nervous.
Yeah.
We've got rival nations racing to develop the most powerful AI, the risk of rogue actors using AI for nefarious purposes, and then there's the potential for the AI itself to become the enemy.
Right.
It's a lot to process.
It is, and that's why this report is so crucial. It's a wake-up call, urging us to think about these risks now before it's too late.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
If these threats are as serious as the report suggests, what can we actually do about them?
That's where we get into the meat of the report's recommendations, and it boils down to a three-pronged strategy: deterrence, nonproliferation, and competitiveness.
Let's break those down, starting with deterrence.
How do you deter a nation from using AI for harmful purposes?
Well, that's where the concept of MAIM comes into play, Mutual Assured AI Malfunction.
Right.
The report argues that the very vulnerability of AI systems can act as a deterrent.
Okay.
Just like with nuclear weapons, the threat of retaliation, in this case AI-powered sabotage, can create a kind of stalemate.
So it's like a high-stakes game of chicken, where no one wants to make the first move for fear of triggering a catastrophic response.
That's the essence of it. Yeah, the fear of retaliation, the knowledge that any AI-powered aggression could trigger a cascade of unintended consequences, creates a kind of stalemate, a deterrent, similar to the one that prevented all-out nuclear war during the Cold War.
But wouldn't that make the world feel incredibly unstable, like we're constantly teetering on the brink of an AI apocalypse?
It's certainly a precarious balance.
Yeah.
But the report argues that MAIM, while inherently risky, is the most realistic deterrent we have in a world where AI is becoming increasingly weaponized. The key, of course, is to ensure that all the players understand the rules of the game.
So transparency and communication are crucial.
Right.
You need to make sure everyone knows the potential consequences of using AI for aggression.
Exactly. That means establishing clear lines of communication between nations, sharing information about AI capabilities, and potentially even developing international agreements to govern the use of AI in the military domain.
It sounds like we're talking about building a whole new framework for international relations, one that takes into account the unique challenges and risks of AI.
You're absolutely right. We're essentially entering a new era of geopolitics where AI is going to be a defining factor in global power dynamics.
Okay, let's move on to nonproliferation.
All right.
We touched on this earlier, but I want to delve a little deeper. How do you actually prevent AI technology, especially the dangerous stuff, from falling into the wrong hands?
Right. So the report breaks non-proliferation down into three key areas: compute security, information security, and AI security itself.
All right, let's take those one by one. Compute security. I'm guessing that's all about controlling the hardware, those AI chips we were talking about earlier?
Yeah. It's about treating those chips almost like nuclear material.
Wow.
We're talking about strict export controls, tracking the movement of chips globally, and potentially even building in kill switches that could disable them remotely if they fall into the wrong hands.
Kill switches, that sounds intense.
It is, but given the potential for AI to be misused, it's a necessary precaution. Imagine a terrorist organization getting its hands on a state-of-the-art AI chip and using it to develop a bioweapon or launch a devastating cyber attack. We need to have mechanisms in place to prevent that from happening.
So it's about controlling access to the building blocks of AI, the hardware that makes it all possible.
Right.
What about information security? What falls under that category?
So information security is all about protecting the intellectual property of AI. That means safeguarding the algorithms, the training data, the model weights, essentially the blueprints that make these systems tick.
So preventing the theft of AI code, essentially?
Yeah.
But how do you do that in a world where information flows so freely?
It's a huge challenge, and it requires a multi-pronged approach. We're talking about strengthening cybersecurity measures to prevent hacking and data breaches, implementing stricter vetting procedures for researchers working with sensitive AI technologies, and even potentially classifying certain types of AI research to keep it out of the public domain.
Classifying AI research, wouldn't that stifle innovation?
It's a delicate balance. We need to foster innovation, but we also need to be realistic about the potential for AI to be misused. The report argues that some degree of secrecy, especially when it comes to research with clear national security implications, is essential to prevent dangerous knowledge from falling into the wrong hands.
That makes sense. It's like the saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
And AI certainly has the potential to be incredibly powerful.
It does, and that's why the third layer of non-proliferation AI security itself is so crucial.
Right, we talked about this earlier, building in safeguards to make sure the AI systems themselves don't go rogue. Remind me what those safeguards look like in practice.
So we're talking about techniques like refusal training, teaching AI systems to recognize and reject commands that could lead to harmful outcomes. It's like installing a conscience in the machine, training it to distinguish between right and wrong.
So if someone tries to use an AI to launch a cyber attack or design a bioweapon, the AI would essentially say, nope, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. Another key safeguard is something called a circuit breaker, essentially a kill switch that can be activated if an AI starts behaving erratically or exhibiting signs of going rogue.
It's like the emergency shutoff button on a nuclear reactor, a last-ditch effort to prevent a catastrophic meltdown.
That's a good analogy, and it highlights the fact that we're dealing with a technology that has the potential to be incredibly dangerous if it's not carefully controlled.
Okay, so we've got these three layers of non-proliferation, controlling the hardware, protecting the information, and building safeguards into the AI itself. But it seems like non-proliferation alone isn't enough. We also need to be thinking about how to use AI to our advantage, right? That's where competitiveness comes in.
You're absolutely right. It's not enough to just prevent bad things from happening. We also need to be proactive in developing and deploying AI in ways that strengthen our national security and make our nations more resilient, prosperous, and secure.
So let's talk about competitiveness. What does that look like in practice? How do we actually use AI to enhance national security in a positive way? What are the key areas of focus?
So the report identifies several key areas for AI-driven competitiveness, including bolstering military strength, enhancing economic security, developing robust legal frameworks for AI, and promoting political stability through AI-powered insights.
Okay, let's unpack those one by one, starting with military strength. How can AI make our militaries more effective and better equipped to face the challenges of the 21st century?
AI has the potential to revolutionize warfare. Imagine AI-powered drones that can operate autonomously, gathering intelligence, conducting surveillance, and even carrying out targeted strikes with incredible precision, or AI systems that can analyze vast amounts of battlefield data in real time, providing commanders with a critical edge in decision-making.
It sounds like AI could make warfare more precise, more efficient, and potentially even less deadly for human soldiers.
That's certainly one of the goals, although it's important to acknowledge that the development of autonomous weapon systems also raises some serious ethical concerns, which we should discuss. But beyond the battlefield, AI can also be a game changer in areas like logistics, cybersecurity, and intelligence analysis.
So it's not just about building killer robots, it's about using AI to make our military smarter, more adaptable, and better equipped to face a wider range of threats.
Yep.
What about economic security? How does AI fit into that equation?
Economic security is fundamental to national security, and AI can play a critical role in strengthening it. Imagine AI systems that can optimize supply chains, making them more efficient and resilient to disruptions, or AI algorithms that can detect and prevent financial fraud, safeguarding our economies from malicious actors. AI can even personalize education and job training programs, helping us create a more skilled and competitive workforce.
So it's about using AI to boost productivity, innovation, and economic growth, which ultimately translates into a stronger and more secure nation.
Exactly. AI can help us create a more robust and dynamic economy, which is essential for national security in the long run.
That makes a lot of sense. What about legal frameworks? Where does AI fit into the legal landscape?
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to develop clear legal frameworks to govern its use, especially in sensitive areas like national security. This includes things like data privacy regulations to protect individuals' information from misuse liability rules for AI-powered systems are also critical. Think about what happens if an autonomous vehicle malfunctions and causes an accident, who's responsible? We also need to think about international agreements to prevent the misuse of AI for malicious purposes, like developing autonomous weapon systems that could operate without human control.
It sounds like we're talking about a whole new legal paradigm, one that can keep pace with the rapid evolution of AI.
Exactly. It's a complex challenge, but it's one we can't afford to ignore. We need to start thinking about these issues now before AI becomes so deeply embedded in our lives that it's too late to establish clear rules and guidelines.
It seems like every aspect of this conversation highlights the importance of being proactive, anticipating potential problems, and developing solutions before they become crises.
Absolutely. We can't wait for AI to create a problem before we start thinking about how to solve it. We need to be ahead of the curve, constantly evaluating the risks and opportunities and adapting our strategies accordingly.
Okay, let's talk about the final area of competitiveness. You mentioned political stability. How can AI contribute to creating a more stable and secure world?
AI can provide insights and solutions to complex social and political challenges that can undermine stability. Imagine AI systems that can help us understand and predict social unrest by analyzing patterns in social media data, economic indicators, and even weather patterns. AI could give us an early warning system for potential conflicts. AI can also be a powerful tool in combating disinformation campaigns by identifying and flagging false or misleading content. AI could help us prevent the spread of propaganda and protect the integrity of our democratic processes.
So it's about using AI to get ahead of the curve to anticipate problems before they spiral out of control.
Precisely. AI can give us a deeper understanding of the complex factors that contribute to instability, allowing us to develop more effective strategies for prevention and mitigation.
It sounds like AI could be a valuable tool for building a more peaceful and just world.
It certainly has the potential, but it's important to remember that AI is just a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
It all comes down to the choices we make, right? How we choose to develop and use this technology will determine its ultimate impact on the world.
You've hit the nail on the head. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's up to us to decide how we want to use this powerful technology and what kind of world we want to create with it. We need to approach AI with a sense of responsibility, a commitment to ethical principles, and a clear-eyed understanding of both its potential and its perils.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground, from the threats to the solutions, from the geopolitical implications to the personal impacts, but I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this complex and rapidly evolving landscape.
You're right. This is a conversation that needs to continue, a debate that needs to be had at all levels of society. The future of AI is too important to be left to chance. It's up to all of us to shape it to ensure that this powerful technology is used for good, not for ill.
I think that's a great place to leave it. For now, we've given our listeners a lot to think about.